Hi everyone, it's Nicole Noasad here today with the Vicki Boutin design team. Today we are going to have fun with mixed media background and lots of pattern paper. What I'm starting off here today is with Foundations cardstock, and I have the super cool turquoise texture paste from the Let's Wander collection release, and I just watered it down a bit and I've stamped my stencil into it. And now I'm just going to actually just press it onto the cardstock and lift it up. And you can see it makes a nice, really fun wave impression from that stencil. I'm going to add a little bit more water and do the same thing here on the right side of the page. I'm just kind of dabbing off with my paper towel any sort of pools that I don't like. And I'm just going to repeat that with whatever's left on the stencil. And I'm going to do this twice. So I'm done it with the turquoise, and now I'm going to go in with the blueberry color. And it's really bright and saturated, so I'm not using very much at all. But I am going to add a little bit of water to it to thin it down, as you can see, and then repeat that pattern again with this wave stencil in that nice bright blue color. So I'm going to do a little bit here on the right, dabbing off any excess. And I'm going to do the same thing here on the left, and I'm going to dab off excess there as well. And I don't want any little pools of color for this. I really want it to be softer, but even though these are some brighter colors. So I am just going to clean this up real quick. And there we are with our mixed media background. That was really fun, super easy, and super fast. This will also dry really fast, so if you want to make a project with mixed media but don't have a ton of time, this is a great way to do that. So as you can see there, I have a bit of a little teardrop that I've cut out of a scrap piece of cardstock, and I'm going to go ahead and fussy cut a whole bunch of those shapes out of some pieces of pattern paper from the 6x8 not mixed media kit paper pad from the Let's Wander collection. And I've done a whole bunch ahead of time, luckily, so I have a lot cut out already. If you had a digital cutter, you could definitely do this much faster, but don't mind having to do this myself. I actually kind of like fitting in all those little extra little scraps, and so this is a great way to do that. And now what I'm doing is just adding one foam square to the bottom of that teardrop shape. And then what I'm going to do is create a pattern with those teardrops to kind of almost make what I like to think of as like that texture off the bottom of a mermaid tail. So that fish scale like texture. So I'm just taking the foam, the backing off the foam squares, and then layering those on top of each other to make your own mermaid tail like thing on the page. So I'm going to create a bit of a block of pattern paper here. And my photo is going to go along the top. So I'm kind of started with one line and then adding a rose above and below it, just tucking those tips of the teardrops just underneath just to create that pattern. So I am trying to mix up the color and the pattern a little bit as I go. I don't want to have too much blue in one area, for example. But if you wanted to do this with 2 or 3 tones of pattern paper, so, all blue but different patterns and textures, that would be really fun. It would look really great as well. But I had a whole lot of extra tiny little pieces of this paper pad I just couldn't part with. So this is a great way to kind of use up some of that without wasting anything. I don't really like throwing pattern paper away. There's a lot you can do with it. So this is just one fun way. And even that teardrop shape is really fun to use to create your own flowers. So you can easily just put the tips together in a circle and make it into a flower shape on your page. So I'm just going to continue to make this pattern up and down in rows on my project, just kind of varying up the colors again. And there's no wrong or no right way. I am going to leave off along the bottom edge and not fill in some of those open gaps, and I'm okay with that. So I'm going to tuck a few more here down on the bottom and just let that pattern get created. And then I'm almost done this part. So next, I think what I'm going to do is try to think of a way to fill in that area beside my photo. So I'm just, because what I'm seeing here is that all my tips from the teardrops on the left side of the page are all kind of going to be showing. And I'm trying to think of a way at this point how I'm going to create a way to cover that up. So if I had another photo, this would be a really great way. Or if that photo was maybe 6x4 instead, that would be a great way to cover up those points. But this is just a scrap opportunity, so there's lots of ways you can cover that up. And I end up using some paper here from the paper pad that I had left over. There's a nice long skinny journaling strip, so I'm actually going to chop that down and stick that beside my photo and add my photo down as well at the same time. And then I'll add a little bit more pattern paper. There's a rainbow that's really fun. I think I'm going to use just to kind of cover up that map pattern that really doesn't really go with my photos. So that nice rainbow actually will bring all the colors in the bottom of the mermaid kind of tail area together, so that's a nice little touch too. Okay, so at this point, I have pretty much all of my teardrop shapes done. I might add a few more here, I think, under my photo. You can kind of see that I have one little blue teardrop in a row, that there's nothing else in that row to match. So I am going to go ahead and add those teardrops in to make one more row. And I'm just going to finish off here using a few different ones. This is a good time if you need some extra color pieces. Like I know I need a little bit more red. So I'm going to go ahead and just grab another red piece out of here and trim down one more teardrop to bring a little bit more red into that bottom right corner. So now I've almost done my entire page. I have already gone ahead and cut out this title out of some black cardstock. I'm using black because although it's maybe not a summery color, it is just a good way to ground all that color that I have going on the page. So I'm going to cut down some foam dot strips that I have here and line those up on the back of the cardstock just to give them that thicker like a feel. And so I'm going to put that down here and then add the title across the bottom kind of left corner of my photo, starting with the S and kind of working my way back. And then once I'm done that, I'm going to finish off my title. I had thought that I would use the word summer above that, but I didn't really leave enough room throughout this process to actually have that word stuck down. So even though the word summer is a lot smaller, as you'll be able to see, it just still doesn't fit. It's just a little bit too long. So I am going to scrap those letters, but I will keep them in a bowl I have of all my extra bits. I'm going to add a few drops of black ink to my page just to add a little more of that black to ground everything out. And then I'm going to go to my sticker sheet here and I'm going to find a sticker that will be perfect to add as a part of my title. So I'm going to add that here, just a word above the word vibes with some foam adhesive again, so it's all kind of the same height. And then I just have a few more embellishments because everything is pretty busy and chunky already. I don't want to add too much more, so I will do a few star stickers to kind of fill in some gaps. And then I had thought of doing some fussy cut florals, but then momentarily thought that wasn't a great idea because I do a lot of florals, but I end up going to florals anyway because I don't know really what else at this point I have ready to go that I could use on the video. Cutting some palm fronds would have been a good idea to have that palm tree like texture for leaves versus flowers, but flowers it ends up being because the colors work really well and it's easy to cut these flowers out of the paper from the Let's Wander collection. So as you will see, I'm going to go ahead and cut several out of this piece of paper and add some to both sides of my photo. So I'm going to go ahead and add a few. It doesn't take long to cut these out because they are pretty simple flowers. So I'm going to cut a few with the leaves and a few without, and you'll see I kind of layer them on both sides of my photo there. I'm going to add in some of the ephemera now from the ephemera pack from Let's Wander. So these are just nice they're a little bit larger. You can layer them underneath the flowers that I fussy cut. And I'm going to use this fun sunglass shape underneath my title just to make things kind of blend over my mermaid-like background just a little bit better. So I'm going to finish that off really quick with some more foam adhesive. And then just a couple more little flowers and stars. And then I think for the most part, this project is almost completed. You could definitely add in palm fronds. I think would have been better than the flowers that I cut. But I should have planned myself a little bit better before the video. But these flowers are really pretty anyways, and they bring in a lot of the colors that's in the bottom of the page, so it still works quite well. And here is a close-up of that stamped stencil background. It's a really fast way to get some mixed media onto your page with very little effort, and lots of pattern paper on this one, and a fun technique. I hope you'll give this a try, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.